I think most of us, from time to time, realize that we're living out our life in a fairly ordinary kind of way. Perhaps something good, something different, something special happens from time to time, but generally it's on the plateau, and there we have it. Several years ago, when I first began commending a new faith here in this place, I simultaneously began to use 3 words. And I use those 3 words repeatedly. And they make a great difference to your life. They have the potential to lift you out of that plateau of life onto a new level. And the 3 words were ebullience, exhilaration, and energy. Take hold of those 3 words, and they give anyone a great boost to the mood. And as you begin to embrace the art of living differently. I discovered also that these 3 words were used by Doris Lessing in her notable novel, Under My Skin. There is no doubt in my mind that if anyone gets ebullience, exhilaration, and energy under their skin, they will be embracing the art of living differently. Last Sunday, Doris Lessing, Nobel Prize winner repeatedly for her contributions to literature, died. She died at the age of 94. I frequently, over the years, I've wondered how she, a young daughter of troubled parents, living out in the bushland of what was then Rhodesia in Africa, could become one of the world's acclaimed authors, Nobel Prize winner, no less. Out of what was often a miserable life, somehow she was fired by the power of 3 words: exuberance, exhilaration, energy. Ebullience, exhilaration, and energy. She also wrote, if I was part of the general delirium of excitement, I was, however, also part of being quietly miserable. The undertow of a feeling of being dragged or propelled, of not being myself, of long ago having lost control of things about myself. That too was a strong emotion, or she said, or was it a lack of emotion? She had that raw feeling of loneliness, isolation, and anxiety. I was a defended observation post, she wrote, until I could find a little place where the cold air did not blow so cruelly on my tender skin. So today I'd like to play a small tribute to this great writer of the mind and spirit. And especially I'm commending her 3 words by which we can all realize the art of living differently. You can't read her books without feeling the reality of the struggles she experienced. And yet she could write these words: I never had a moment's doubt that I would be able to not only survive, but cope competently with any circumstances I found myself in. This expressed itself in quiet obstinacy, even exultation, even relish when I contemplated possible futures. So today I've undertaken to give you six ingredients in the art of living differently. And here is the first. 3 words. 3 words taken as one package. Ebullience, exhilaration, and energy, even in the face of some of life's difficult realities. So that's the first one today. The second issue is this. As you can see, I've long been impressed with that Old Testament story of King Saul. It's probably a story that most people wouldn't bother about. The Bible said an evil spirit would seize him suddenly. That's the very opposite of ebullience, exaltation, and energy. What was this evil spirit? Was it uncontrolled rage? Was it neurotic anger? Was it a recurring paranoia? Had depression and despair become the toxic burden of the king's life? What was it? Was it an impulse disorder, an unsettled narcissistic nightmare of someone who had to have every compelling need met or he'd explode? Somehow, believe it or not, we can recognize ourselves in this story. The flow of the human personality, being touched by different events, making us react in different ways, and wondering what can be done about it, as happened in that story. What can we do about this state of affairs in the life of the king, in our own lives? So someone said to him, "Look, would you get some music? Would you play some music? Play the strings of the harp, pluck the strings of the harp." And when they did this, he recovered. Music has that power of healing and recovery. So on Christmas Day this year, I'm going to take as my address the focus of how music makes Christmas memorable. Because can you imagine Christmas? No matter what else you do, can you imagine Christmas without a little bit of music? Oh, I mean much more than Jingle Bells. Much more than Away in the Manger, all those songs that we sing. You could even take in Handel's Alleluia chorus, if you like, or Bach's Oratorio, or Saint-Saëns Oratorio, or even Sakamoto's Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, whichever. Music. Music is, of course, is there for us, and it makes a huge difference to the Christian community and far beyond. We need to have more music, good music, enriching music. Music that expands the human community, expands the human spirit. It has the power to change our mood and our whole way of being every morning. It is my second ingredient for the art of living differently. Good, enriching music. The third ingredient. Hugh Mackay is a name known to many through his books and through his broadcasts. I have looked again at his book, The Good Life, relevant to today. 2/3 of the way through, he wrote, "There are 3 particular disciplines that bring out the best in us and bring out the best in those around us. Think of them as 3 great therapies for everyday life, and they are these: to listen attentively, to apologize sincerely, and to forgive generously." He wrote, "None of them requires exceptional skill, though each of them calls for some courage. If we were to integrate them into our way of living, to make them part of who we are, many other manifestations of goodness would naturally flow from them." I wonder if goodness flows from them, or do those 3 therapies flow from our potential goodness that's in all of us? But there is the third ingredient. Let the potential goodness in all of us flow into life and through your life. As St. Paul said, let all you do be done in love. Most of us would say, yes, we believe that, but they're just words. But love needs an object. Love your enemies. That's the object. Love life. Love ways of goodness. Love does not translate easily into the argumentation of politics. We know that. Until we pause to realize politics again and again is about listening attentively, apologizing sincerely, and forgiving generously, encouraging the potential goodness in all of us to flow. The third one. So the fourth one. Last Thursday evening, I was part of the launching of a remarkable book. It celebrates the memory of David Hodges and rightly retells his contribution to the community at large and to the church in particular. David Hodges was a minister, first in the Presbyterian Church, and then from the time of union of the Uniting Church. He was a man of unusual vision and energy, a man of high intellect and learning, a man of music and culture. But at the end of his life, for the last few years, the sad thing is he fell into the hands, as it were, of dementia. And it was so sad that a man of this person's leadership and life would become like that at the end of the day. I was honoured to be asked to launch the book because I'd known him. I'd known him since the first day he arrived in Melbourne back in 1952, in fact. The book was compiled by his friend David Ross Smith, and the title, believe it or not, is Love Made Real. And there is the fourth ingredient in the art of living differently, making love real. In my launching, I quoted the words of Tasma Wishna, who wrote in the book. She wrote of David Hodges in these words. In his own words, he made love real. Many of us received his wise counsel in both sad and happy times. We may not remember the words, but we still hear the voice, the gentle tone, the twinkle of warmth and humour in his eyes, and the knowledge in our hearts that love and just being there for others can save and heal. And she added, we thank David Hodges for all the words, the baptisms, the marriages, the funerals, and all the love in between. In between. As I read those words at the launching, I could feel the sense of endorsement and affirmation of everyone who filled that hall last Thursday evening. These words reverberated around me as I wondered if we really know what it can mean for love to be made real. Hear these words again. It is the knowledge in our hearts that love and just being there can save and heal. And that is my fourth ingredient for living life differently. The fifth. For me, I think for you too, it probably is one of the saddest experiences to sit next to someone you've known well, and you realise that they can't remember who you are, and they can't remember who they are, or where they are, or any of the important experiences of life. And we pause for a moment and realise that memory, our memory, is such a precious and beautiful quality, if only it will stay in shape. Loss of memory is something nobody wants to experience. But there is another concern. Another concern. It is a memory overloaded with grievances. A memory fixated on things long past that were destructive. On irritations that refuse to be forgotten. On sorrows that will neither be soothed nor silenced. That's our memory. So although we can lose our memory, sometimes the memory becomes such a powerful, fixated, destructive presence in our life. The art of living life differently is to be able to select good memories Select memories that have been enriching moments. Select memories that give good meaning and real enrichment and strength to the present and to the future. The art of living, of course, involves practice. Destructive, hurtful, aggravating memories can be like tyrants with a totalitarian agenda. It takes practice and persistent self-therapy, perhaps other therapy as well, to tame those memories so that we can select healing, quietening memories that become part of the art of living differently. And so I come to the last, the sixth. And I'm going to revisit the passage from the Old Testament, Saul and his music. He could have closed the doors and raved on in his restlessness, but he chose some quality that brought him pleasure. The quality pleasures, soothing pleasures, transforming pleasures. Pleasures to recover his sanity, pleasures to recover his stability, pleasures to recover his serenity. We all need to find those pleasures. We need them because so often the other experiences of life can crowd them out. The good thing is that we can choose those pleasures, knowing that they are vital to the art of living differently. Understandably, we reach out to those pleasures as something to enhance our own lives. But pleasures come in two forms. Pleasures are what we are given, and pleasures are what we can give. Pleasures to become expressions of a life bigger than self, larger than the bonds that have always held us, important as they are. Some psychologists rightly make a great deal of our holding environments, holding us in place, giving us a sense of who we are and where we are. We also need a different environment to study the expansive environments, our enhancing environments, which by virtue of our actions, which by virtue of our being there, make the art of living a more enjoyable, fulfilling experience, not only for ourselves, but for the wider human community as well. Would you please stand? And would you say with me, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And the blessing. May the God you see in all the colours of creation arouse in you a sense of awe and wonder. May the God who is a sacred presence be real to you. May the God who is a source of inspiration and courage keep calling you forwards. May your God go with you and bless you today and always.